everyone, it's Emma and Shannon from Arise, and we're here this afternoon to talk about reasons why you might want to enroll a teenager midway through the year. So we are opening some of our classes up for new enrollment coming for the classes starting in January. So that enrollment is open now, but some of you may be having questions about that. So we're going to discuss the why that might be helpful for your family and also go over some of the classes that we have opened our enrollment up. Sharon, why would you say it's a really good time to add a student to a class? It's already been started.
Yeah, well, sometimes families find that their kids or themselves, they kind of hit a wall for a number of different reasons. And so one of them, especially for the kids, is that lack of motivation, of just, it feels like a slog, it seems boring, whatever it is that you have thought was going to be the greatest thing for this coming school year, maybe it was a flop. And now you're trying to regroup and regain and recapture not only inspired learning, but a way to move forward for yourself, for the kids, and that kind of thing. And sometimes that's as simple as, like we just said, maybe it's a pivot in curriculum for some families. Maybe it's going to be adding in some type of community element. Our teens thrive in community. We all do in different and varying levels of that, right? But
Mhm.
they do really thrive for learning in communities where they can discuss things, where they can work on certain projects together, and they can see what others are doing with their creative inspiration, and that inspires them to bigger learning. And so whether it's in community or whether it's with projects that they're invested in and that seem exciting to them, or whether it's just engaging in topics that are interactive and not just, flat words in a textbook.
Yeah.
Those, for the teens, that's what really can inspire them and give them that bit of an oomph or a lift or a nudge into a subject that they may actually find they really do enjoy.
Mhm.
They're just not, they're stuck somehow with that. So that's one of the reasons.
I've found with my own kids, we have often did a pivot at Christmas time.
Yeah.
And I think every single one of my children, we have either switched something up from at different ages, from like little ones, like last year, I completely changed our maths curriculum for my then 6-year-old
Yeah.
over Christmas holiday, and it's been a fantastic change for us. So that kind of finding that actually that's what you said, this is not working. We need to find something different, make a change. It can be really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I've
Another
also
one of the reasons, and I have found this particularly for us, is to help the student get unstuck. If there is just some type of, for us, often in math, sometimes in sciences and some of the other subjects, to get unstuck, they've gotten on a track of struggle, for lack of a better word, with the subject. And it seems like every lesson it's just more stuck instead of less stuck. And so
Mm,
that can really help. And for all the reasons we just talked about for motivation, when you get stuck, your motivation just takes a dive as well.
yeah, yeah.
And so get that new perspective, a new person coming alongside. Maybe it ends up being that it's a subject that as a parent, it's not maybe your best subject to tutor and to facilitate. And that we all have those. We're not, geniuses. I don't know any of us that are geniuses in every subject. And I know I'm not a genius in any of them. So, but I can inspire learning and point our kids in that direction for it. And so that's the key there, is to get them unstuck
Mhm.
as well.
I think it's important as well for, especially in the teen years, where you have difficult subjects that are not as parents our forte, and often things that we're not good at. Our kids, there's that genetic passing down that
Yeah,
our kids might not be
there
good at
is.
the same things that we're not good at, and being able to say, look, let's try something new. And often just having a different person educating your child.
Yeah.
I found this year I've got two of my boys in Arise classes. And One of them is in some of my classes, and some of them are not my classes, and he is really diligent at getting the work in for the tutors who are not me. And my other son, he's really on all his homework assignments that are for his Arise classes. They're not my classes, and I've not had to really push him or I checked him a little bit because it's all new to him, but he's really taken this on board and risen to the maturity of having to plan his work, be on top of handing in assignments, getting to class on time. And it's been a really lovely thing to see him growing into a different type of learning for him that he's never actually done before. And I wouldn't have seen that if we hadn't been doing live classes. I wouldn't have seen that with them, that this positive aspect of doing of of bringing a different people into their educational journeys so that they're accountable to somebody else. And they also love the banter in the class, the community. That's what you
Yeah.
said, that community learning. Even though it is online, there is a community that they kind of come up and they'll all chitter chatter. Oh, this is what happened in class today, and it's lovely. It's lovely to watch.
It really is. It's really exciting to see them take that step into independent learning
Mhm.
and self-discipline at the same time, because that's what's happening. And as teens, we end up, for the parents of teens, we end up more in a nagging role of, did you do this? Did you do that? Don't forget about this. Have you turned that in? And when we can step back from that and deal with just parenting all the other aspects of teens and not just thinking about assignments, then that's such a nurturing environment to be able to provide for the kids. And in a place where, we have values that are similar and where they're hearing similar ideas, that what they would hear around their dinner table or that type of thing, with their family and with their other maybe home ed groups or at church or those different things. So it allows for just that input from different people with those similar values to reinforce what families are doing at home and help us just, provide the best environment for our teens. That's the key. So
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. What else do you think? Is there anything else?
I think at this time of year in particular, especially for so many of us are juggling um different kids. We're educating children at different ages with different needs and different weights of needs. Some kids need more of us and some less of us. Many of us are juggling jobs and outside commitments, church commitments, maybe caring for elderly parents commitments, all these different commitments that at our stage of life are pressing heavily upon so many of us. And at this time of year, we've kind of those few months into the new school year, we can really feel that weight. That it's real. It can feel quite tense sometimes. That fear of being burnt out, and
Yeah,
being able to say, "Look, I need a bit of help. I can't do
yeah,
this on my own." And having a class that you can say, "Right, we're going to try this out. Sign you up to this." It takes that pressure off you, and you know that your child is receiving a quality educational experience in community with the values and worldview that is complementary to your home. And I think that is really, really special. For me, with my younger son, I didn't think I needed to put him into live classes. Um, but I also recognize I'm really busy and I wanted for all those reasons, and it's actually been a great move for
it
him.
really, it really is. It really
Yeah.
can be a great place to launch them
Mhm.
into that next phase, into that next level, and be able to do it gently and still be there to guide and facilitate and interact with the tutors. In that, just remembering that we're a partnership, that we're there to
Yeah.
help the families, help the student, and get everybody to the finish line to achieve their goals in education and in Christian education and everything. So, and I think the other thing is that mid-year you have some students that are showing those signs of being ready for that next level of learning, that
Mm.
academic jump that kind of can happen like sometimes between P7 and S1, sometimes between S2 and S3, or somewhere up there in those teen brackets where you just realize all of a sudden they're speaking differently, they're approaching topics differently, they're being more critical in their thought in a good way, not always in a good way. You might find they're more argumentative with you, but that's one of those signs, right? That they're thinking at a different level and they're ready to be challenged, kind of with that easy +1 idea we talked about a couple times previously. And
The
so that's another reason that a mid-year class can help gently bring that a little bit more weight to the learning without making it too difficult or for too long of a time period. And they can step back then and say, all right, that was a great success. Or they have the summer to really then move into a full-time schedule of that type of learning, whatever that might look like for the family.
I think that's true. We see these kids are going through, our teenagers are going through huge developmental strides in these years. And you can see from the summertime when you've been planning your academic year to autumn, winter, where you're like, actually, they could do more. They could actually take on more, and they kind of need a bit more. And so this is a great place to kind of slot in as you're seeing that development of their minds and as they're kind of awakening in those different academic ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which brings
Absolutely.
us on to this whole idea is obviously a lot of our classes that we have, all but one of the classes that we have on offer for enrollment in January are classes that have already been running since August. And so there's already students in those classes. And would they be behind if they joined mid-year into those classes?
I think it depends on the classes. And so when we think about that, it's some of the classes, and let's just talk about those that they would not be behind in for sure. Okay.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
other ones, there's some exceptions, and we'll get to that in a second. So most of the classes that they would not be behind in would be those that are starting new sets of learning, more unit study style. So that's going to be the British literature courses as well as the British history courses. So for the literature, we're doing Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, and then also C.S. Lewis, Mere Christianity, and Screwtape Letters. And then to complement the literature for the British history, we're studying those same time periods of those authors. So we'll be studying the Georgian era and the modern era, through just up through the death of C.S. Lewis, which was the mid 60s. So about 1898 to the mid 60s. We don't go too much further than that yet. We'll get there eventually, I think, but not in this for next semester. And then another one, the church history and the life skills. Those two are other classes. The church history is just a single semester class as it is. And so everybody will be new to that one all at the same time. And then the career prep and life skills class, we will be doing CVs, interviewing skills, and things that have to do with getting a job, personal statements, and cover letters for the different things that have to have, you know, whether it's university application process or for jobs, that kind of thing. That's what we're looking at in the second semester of that. And I will say that while the first semester pieces are helpful to that, they're not absolutely necessary, but it will work. So that one is probably the one that's that teeter-totter one, like some of the other ones,
Mhm.
but not as critical as like say physics or astronomy or some of those and that kind of thing. Do you want to speak to the other classes that have the asterisks there that are the ones that we might need to talk with families about?
Okay, so I'll do the maths and sciencey ones first because that's my it's not my
That's
street.
your wheelhouse.
So we have pre-iGCSE maths. So think about that maths class as like the kind of math skills that you're looking at in lower high school. So in the Scottish high school system, that's S1, S2. So all those skills that you would be learning to prepare before stepping into IGCSE Maths or Nat 5 Maths, or the kind of skills that are going to be taught in pre-GCSE Maths class. It's
So
a core high
is
school class.
is that like pre-algebra? I'm trying to understand what are going to be some of the topics because my American mind gets stuck with I know what we do in junior high, and that's pre-algebra
So it'd be
in
a bit
the
like it
American
would be
system.
it's about
So,
pre-algebra.
okay.
It's like middle school maths.
Yeah, middle school maths, pre-algebra, that kind of thing. Okay.
So I'm not sure what Hannah's got planned after Christmas, but she's been doing things like she would do some fraction stuff and decimal stuff, and
Mhm.
when you go into the IGCSE curriculum, it starts off with fractions and decimals and ratios and standard form. So it's the stuff that you're doing in that class is laying that foundation for that class,
Because
and
it's a quick up ramp. It's a quick ramp
it is
up
it is a quick up ramp,
once you
but
get to GCSE.
that pre-GCSE class covers all these kind of it's kind of stopping the gaps to give you that foundation to go into that higher learning.
Right. Okay.
And with so much of maths education, it's cyclical.
Yeah.
So you will be in your upper primary school, if you're using a UK curriculum, you'll be cycling around fractions for a few years, and every
Mhm.
year coming down to a next level of difficulty. Same with ratios, cycling around to the next level of
Right.
difficulty. And those ideas around pre-algebra and geometry, all cycling around until you're ready for then those pre-math skills. So
Okay.
if you have a student who kind of lower teens is and they're struggling with their maths and you're struggling with your curriculum and you just feel really quite stuck, this might be a really great place to try for your teenager for this second semester of maths for that teenager.
Absolutely.
If you
Absolutely.
are unsure, reach out to us, send us an email, and Hannah will be able to work with you and speak to you and see if this would work for your child.
Yeah.
Hannah is such a lovely, gentle teacher. She is not somebody who will she doesn't bring maths anxiety. She's just gentle. And so if
Yeah.
you've got a child who is really tense and got lots of maths anxiety, Hannah will be a great fit for you because
Yeah.
she will work with your child and help you to get unstuck
Yeah.
there. So that's the
Absolutely.
pre-GCSE maths. Astronomy, physics, and combined science, all three again with Hannah. These are kind of subjects where if you've started with these in these areas of study and you're thinking, actually, this isn't working for us doing it on our own. We need a little bit extra help. There is that opportunity to join the class, but again, we would ask parents to contact us and we'll have that conversation with parents and with Hannah if it would work for a student to join that class. But there is that opportunity to join. These classes are in year one of the 2 years worth of learning. So there's still a lot of stuff that hasn't been covered, but we would say contact us and let's see if it will work for the class and for your teen. Um, the other two
Before you move to
classes, oh,
Before you move to the next two, the only thing I would say on those is that looking at it from the American qualification perspective is the student could jump in if they are feeling um, adept in the math components and the different pieces that are necessary to do well in the class and do it more as a topical piece um, for that and get that half credit of whatever that science is for the US system. And then if they circled back and did the front half of the first semester later on or somehow were to catch up, and the idea of catch up is just not that I shouldn't have even used that word, but to do that first semester at a different time. With the US system, that does work. That can work well. Different with if they're shooting for exams, the UK exams, then that's part of why we need to talk with the families there.
And a similar idea to the with debate in art and design, where we would ask in the debate with the students have been doing before Christmas, they've been doing more logic work, looking at fallacies, looking more at the apologetic side of things, and that's going to launch them into debate. So there is a crossover. So it would be, if that is something you were interested in your child sign up to do debate, it is doable, but we would ask you to contact us and we would discuss that with Agnes if she felt that that would work out for you guys and for the class. And similarly with art and design, because just with the topics that Nikki has already covered, we would be looking to see would that work with slotting in there about the different elements of art that she's already discussed with the students. And obviously there is with that class, you would get the art pack of all the materials, but for that second half. And so that would be something we would arrange with
No.
families.
And also with the art class, there really is just a couple slots left in that class because it is near
Yeah,
max.
it really is.
And so that's the other piece with that one is that I'm just making sure it's going to be a good fit for the student and the family, and as well that we make sure that people are cognizant that there really is only a handful, small handful, like I think maybe three,
Mhm.
plus or minus three seats available for that class. So yeah, so those are the classes in world geography. We're going to be doing, I forget if I said this, we're going to be doing Europe and the Americas. So this first semester we have done Africa and Asia. And so with that one as well, that's one of those courses where next year, if they wanted to continue with the world geography and get the full year credit, then they could swing back and do semester one
Mhm.
in the autumn next year.
When is enrollment closing for these classes, Shannon?
Well, we all get hung up with Christmas and think about all these things after Christmas and realize, oh no, that means it's starting next week. And so what we come to is essentially classes start, what is it, the 6th of January. That's the first week of the winter term. And so by the 10th, we need to close enrollment on all classes. And theoretically, the enrollment for each of the classes should close on that first day of class. We want kids to be in the first day of class. If they miss that first one, that's okay. 1 week is easy to catch up on. More than that, mid-year, and it is a little bit difficult. So no later than the 10th of January, but ideally, we would love the kids to be enrolled before that first day of classes because there's paperwork, there's things to connect, send you information. There's lots of things on the front end just to help the kids get settled in. There might even be things you need to buy or
Yeah.
we need to send you.
For example, for my literature classes, you would need to buy the texts and have them.
Yeah, yeah,
And so for Jane Austen class for Pride and Prejudice, ideally have be a good chunk of the way through the book. So if you're thinking
yeah,
about Jane Austen, maybe sooner rather than later, just so that there's that you're not
exactly.
playing too much
Exactly.
catch up with
Same thing with
reading.
C.S. Lewis. Same thing with C.S. Lewis.
Same thing, but not so much. We're going to read the text more as a class together, kind of starting.
All
But
right.
Pride and Prejudice, we're kind of that I've got that class already starting to read Pride and Prejudice as a text, but it's not. It's workable for that.
Sure, absolutely.
And it's a
Absolutely.
lovely it's a lovely book
It
to read
is. It
over
is.
Christmas. Let's be
It is.
um. But yeah, but on a serious note, if sooner rather than later, so you can have those texts and it's not a scramble at the beginning of the year. Finally, we do have payment plans. We for the second semester classes, the payment plans are over 3 payments with a non-refundable deposit to secure your seat on the class. And there's bundles as well for purchasing multiple classes. That if that is something that you'd want to do. But if any of these classes you've got any questions, please reach out to us. We're always happy to answer your questions, and obviously specifically about those science and maths, debate, and art. Um, that would
So
be great.
the one thing we need to make sure, we worked really hard this first 6 weeks of the school year or so, putting together the live samples of these classes. And so if you're curious about what is going on in the classes and how, just all that happens, and to see if it's a good fit, make sure you grab those. There's 3 different bundles and they have multiple subjects in them and they're free. So grab those in the shop. You'll see them in the sample lessons category there, and take a look and see what you think about the classes, and where we're headed with the different subjects, how we approach them. And you'll see that, online learning can be so interactive and so engaging. It doesn't have to be boring, doesn't have to be so many things that it has been labeled in the past, when it's done well and it's done right. And our tutors are doing an excellent job in that. You also get to jump in and see a little bit of what it really is like day to day in some of the classes. I know one of mine, it was a great lesson, except for the screechy microphone from one kid and the other, something techie from another thing. But that's normal life, right? And so that's what we kind of approach it with as well. It's just, this is who we are, this is how we do it, and this is what we want to do to partner with families and to come alongside and just create an excellent environment, and of course, an unforgettable environment for learning for Christian home ed families.
Yes. Well, I think that's all we've got to share. If anyone's
All
got
right.
any questions, send them in or put them in the comments and we will get to answering them. Thank you so much for listening, and we really hope to meet some of your kids in the new year. Bye-bye.